yesterday's result wasn't what I was looking for really.
It's difficult for Clarke and I are in a similar situation. I think he's probably in a more difficult situation than we are, is that all of New Zealand's riders are based in Europe, and I think when some of these international judges come out here, probably aren't as generous as some of the ones over in Europe. And so Clarke, I think, was disappointed with his test, but his mark over in Europe would probably have been less. I mean, it's difficult for him because he's not competing against anyone here. He's on his own, just coming against us Aussie guys. So it's difficult to compare his performance here to the European guys for him. I mean, this is the way I'm looking at it. I don't know if it's what Clarke's thinking, but to be disappointed because his test probably deserved a 45 or a 44 or something like that, and unfortunately they weren't very generous with that. So if he finishes, close to 45, he's really competitive with the guys over in Europe, whereas when you get not so nice a mark, I mean, fortunately we've got more people trying from here, and probably our selectors are based here, and we'll see the performances and hopefully look at them as potentially more comparable. But from what we see on the outside, I don't know that the New Zealand system works quite the same as that.
We
probably don't have to answer that.
We did have Bill Fiske, or we do have Bill Fiske, one of our selectors here, so hopefully he'll have some consistency across all.
He was wrong, you can say.
Yeah. Would you go back over Clarke in the lead up to Rio? Is that sort of the plan?
Yeah, well, I haven't got a firm plan. It very much depended on how this week played out, so I guess we've still got tomorrow to go. Certainly it's not all over yet, and once we get home we'll sort of see where we're at and talk to Eric and make a bit of a plan from there, but probably relatively likely I'll head over in about April, May next year. Probably not, ideally not.
Le Merlin.
Probably not that one either. I wouldn't.
CRC maybe.
Yeah, CRC, but I wouldn't really like to do a 4-star, particularly travel to Europe, do a 4-star, and then if selected travel to Rio. I think that's too taxing on the horse, so that would be well down my list of preferred options.
What about you, Sharon? Do you think you just stay here until such time?
If things go well tonight and tomorrow and in the next 8 months, my plan would be, I'm a little firmer on my possibilities. If things go well here, we're looking at flying out on about the 4th of July, around that early July flight, which basically just over a month to Rio, which gets us there a couple of weeks before Aachen, I think, which is 3 weeks before the games, which if I'm in a position like that, then that's probably what I'd like to do, is just CIC at Aachen, a couple of lead-up events here before we leave.
That would be with both horses?
I hope so. Yeah, look, I think they're both great horses. I think Virgil's just going to improve. He's really improved his prep on the flat. He's become a lot more consistent. I think where I need to go now is I thought he could have got more marks yesterday. Listening to their comments, I need to present a better picture for them so they can't take the marks away. And I think as he gets a little stronger and he can carry himself a little better, then I'll be able to present that picture. And if he does that, then he's going to be pretty competitive next year, hopefully.
Do you have a favourite?
I love them both. They're great horses. Qualified super on the flat. Virgil gallops a little better. They're both good jumping horses. They're both good cross country. I like them both. I'm lucky. Got 2 nice ones.
Okay. Can you talk to us about your cross-country course today, with both horses and how they compare?
They're quite similar horses. They're both good jumping horses. They're both reasonably rideable, and qualified was very spooky at the start of the course. I sort of wasted 5 or 6 seconds in the first minute just trying to get him to focus on jumps, and I nearly stopped at the first fence, so maybe not quite, but he certainly wasn't on the job. He was well off line. And from fence 4 on, he was super. He really, everything foot perfect to what I was expecting, and he was very rideable and galloped well. You know, I think ideally it would have been nicer to have a run a little closer to here. We couldn't get a start until 5 weeks ago, and 5 weeks is a long time. He just probably wasn't quite match fit. You know, he's done a lot of galloping and his fitness is great and he seemed to pull up well, but it would have been great to have had something 3 or 4 weeks out. And Virgil was his first crack at 4-star. He was really good. He started beautifully. Jumped the 6B extremely big and got up in the air and sort of kicked out and kicked the back of it on the way down, and it didn't faze him, which was great. He sort of carried on and
So you didn't have to go for the option on that one?
No, he was great. They both did every stride between fences the same, barring the second crossing at the water on Virgil. He was quite up on my minute marker, so I just sort of let him sort of coast along, and he sort of just spat the bit out a little between sort of 6 and 8 minutes, and it came to the water on the second crossing. I thought I'll move him up and then rebalance for the fence, and he'd been sort of taking me a little past the takeoff spot a couple of times, so I slowed down, used my voice, and then he waited a bit too much and ended up chipping, which was not on the plan, and just did an extra stride in the water. And other than that, they were both super. And you know, Virgil was just a little bit quicker early in the course and managed to chase the time down, which was great.
Okay. And Clarke, for you, this was Richie's first 4-star?
It was, yeah, and I was pretty hopeful that he would make the step up. He's a very good jumper and very lucky. He's very rideable, and walked the course and had a plan, and hardly ever happens, but literally every fence went to plan. He jumped a beautiful round, and I was unfortunately just a little bit slow. I was quick around the first 4 minutes. I was maybe 10 seconds up, but he is a long striding horse, and I just was losing like 2 seconds each minute in the twisty sections of the course, and ended up being 10 seconds over the time. I probably could have been a little braver. A couple of the combinations I brought him back a little early, sort of tested the brakes just to make sure they were working, and he was actually, he can be a little strong, and he was not at all strong today, and I sort of would test the brakes, and he came back more than I wanted, and I wasted a bit of time there, but jumping wise he was just magic today. Gave me a very nice ride.
Excellent. And now we've got Gillian here. Shall we ask them questions about the footing and the event, Gillian?
Yeah, well, it's always a challenge here, but we've got irrigation, and so the guys from Adelaide City Council have been irrigating until it overspilt itself in the wrong time today, but the irrigation's been doing a good job. There is areas where there isn't any irrigation, and we've been working for quite a long time trying to get that better and better, that footing, but always every year it gets compacted, so we have to aerate, we have to aerovate, and we put sand on as well, and that makes the footing as good as it can be for the guys.
How did you find the footing, guys?
Really good. Yeah, I thought it was fantastic.
The going was very good. Pretty much where there was grass, it was perfect. Just through the olive groves, just through the natural way, I guess, olive trees grow, and there's a bit of undulation in between the unfinished bridge and the next road. But other than that small section where it was just a little bit rutty, it was really good. And the ground here, even though they've had a really hot week of weather, the aerator was actually able to get it off, and the sand, it almost went too far. Like it was almost deep there. So really good job from the committee here to give our horses as good a footing as we got.
And Gillian, were you pleased with crowds today?
Yeah, it was a fantastic crowd today. We had really huge numbers out in both parks, in Rymal Park, around the water jump. We were a sellout in the VIP marquee, sellout in the Giddy Up Club, and huge numbers out around the course. And there was also a lot of people in the trade village here sitting and watching the big screens, watching the horses start and finish, and buying lots of things. So I think the traders are pretty happy too. It
was nice to see a lot of people that obviously knew nothing about eventing or horses coming to watch, and some of the comments they made were priceless, really.
Yeah, that's all part of it, that's the beauty of being in the middle of the city, because what we try and do is attract people that don't know anything about horses, don't know anything about eventing, and we try and get them to enjoy the day and enjoy the sport and then keep coming back for more. And it's great to have Ready Set Trot there, so as they came in through the gate up the top of East Terrace, they came through a mini marketplace, a little satellite marketplace, but on the other side was Ready Set Trot and the pony rides, and you know, that's a great way to get little kids interested in horses and get on with the sport over time. And I've been speaking to people all day that have just loved the day. They haven't been here before, and they're really interested to be involved in the sport in some way leading into the future. So that's very strong for the sport.
As an event 5 or 6 years ago, it might have been less than that, it was really struggling financially, and there was talk that, you know, it might fall over, and it's an amazing event now. Like this is as good an event as anywhere in the world. It's not the same as Badminton, Burleigh. There's not quite the trade, and there's differences, but it's growing every year. And the thing that's unique about this event to the world is it's in the city. I mean, as riders, as spectators, as family, you can come here, you can put your horses away, you can walk or ride your bike across the park, and you know, you're a couple of minutes away from the middle of the city. You can have dinner in all sorts of different restaurants, and just the trade, you know, getting the screens in the trade, and the different things that they're putting on, the dressage grand final and the jumping tomorrow. They're adding to the event. It's a really good week of horse sport. And you know, Jill and her committee are doing an amazing job, and you know, we're very proud of the event and the job that Jill's done, because you know, it was from all we were hearing that it was, you know, not far from being you know, not available to us, and it's great. And I love coming down here. I think it's great.
And how much did you pay him to say all that?
Well, I think I'm up for a lot of drinks tonight.
No, not really. No, it's just it is a credit, because it was really falling apart, and you know, running an event at SIAC is extremely expensive. This would have to be monumentally more expensive. You know, I mean, Jill would be able to tell you numbers, but I'm sure it's costing them, you know, $500,000 or more just to put on the event, let alone, you know, all the other things. So.
Do you think the equestrian grand final concept will stay here